Long-term porn consumption leaves a person feeling numb and desensitized. Think about what exactly is going on in your brain when you're consuming pornography. You are tricking your brain into believing that you are in the act of reproduction. As a result, your brain releases dopamine. But the problem is, the quantity of dopamine that exposure to porn releases is unnaturally high. Your brain wasn't designed to watch dozens of naked individuals doing whatever you want, whenever you want. Your body likes to maintain a biological balance. This is known as homeostasis. The way that it creates this balance to counter the large quantity of dopamine from porn is by actually reducing the quantity and sensitivity of your dopamine receptors. In short, you become desensitized to positive emotions from less stimulating activities. This could mean that you no longer enjoy going out for walks in nature, you don't enjoy your career as much as you used to, you don't feel like being romantic towards your spouse. All of these things that once really interested you, you find them disinteresting. It also means that the kind of behaviors that you are now going to gravitate towards are going to be other highly stimulating activities that are also quite self-destructive for you. It could be that all you now want to do is consume even more pornography and gravitate towards more novel and absurd kind of videos. You might also find that healthy, home-cooked meals are no longer appetizing. You now only prefer to eat fast food. Additionally, you will feel like you have this desire to stay up late at night and binge watch Netflix shows because sleeping early might just seem too boring to you. Lastly, you might even develop impulses to cheat on your spouse, whether it is just through online interactions or you go the full distance and do it in person. To sum it all up, you have become a dopamine-seeking machine with an unstable life. The good news is you can fix all these problems. You can eliminate the numbness and sensitize yourself to normal, productive, healthy activities. And you can also win back your impulse control and stop being the person that is just chasing dopamine hits. And in the next few segments of this video, I'm going to show you how to do just that. The most obvious recommendation to win back your sensitivity would be to stop doing what has caused you the numbness. That is to stop watching porn. However, that is easier said than done. I am going to offer you an entirely different model of looking at your life. And I call this the two-fuel theory. The theory is that you as human beings require dopamine to function in their life. Life without dopamine or pleasure is boring, depressing, and it's just very hard to tolerate. The way that you can acquire this dopamine is in two ways, and they become your two sources of fuel for life. The first one is instant gratification. It is things like pornography, fast food, alcohol, casual sex, or anything that offers you a quick burst of dopamine without any effort required. These things are fun in the short term, but they destroy your brain in the long term. And if you are someone who is addicted to pornography, then your primary fuel source seems to be instant gratification. When you're bored, stressed, or sad, you just jump to porn, because that is the source of fuel that you're most comfortable using. On the other hand, there's the second fuel that is called delayed gratification. These are activities or behaviors that do release dopamine as well. However, the fashion in which they do it is very different. Dopamine release is often slower but lasts much longer, and it comes guilt-free. Additionally, these activities tend to have some real positive consequence in your life. For example, working out not only releases dopamine and makes you feel good about yourself, but it also improves your life in tangible ways. You're going to lose the unhealthy fat, you're going to build muscle, your bones are going to get stronger, your organs are going to function better. There are very real benefits to doing something that offers delayed gratification. So delayed gratification seems to be this premium ultimate fuel that just does good things to your life. However, there is a price to pay when it comes to using this fuel. The price is that you would have to do something that requires effort first. You are only going to feel good after you have done the workout. You're only going to feel good after you have worked on your project for an hour. The price to pay for this fuel is effort. Your mission now is not to just stop looking at a screen and avoid porn, but it is rather to now become the sort of person that does not rely on instant gratification and instead uses the premium fuel of delayed gratification. And I will tell you what are the steps required to make this switch happen. The first step is to schedule a couple of effort requiring things in your life. Let's say that you're just going to pick 3 things that you would do in a day. The first one could be that, hey, you are now going to train for 30 minutes each day. The next thing could be that you're going to spend at least 30 minutes of distraction-free, deep quality time with your spouse each and every single day. The third thing could be that you're going to spend 1 to 2 hours a day improving your skills for your career or working on your business or working on a side hustle. It doesn't really matter what these things really are, as long as they require some effort from your side. The next step is to decide a fixed time at which you are going to be doing these things every single day. The reason is, since you're just coming out of the world of instant pleasure, you're going to have a very hard time starting these things. You're going to feel lazy, you're going to procrastinate. You might find that even the thought of doing these things is kind of boring and makes you anxious. What fixing the time and scheduling these things does is that it makes that hard effort requiring activity almost feel automated in the long run. For example, you decide that each morning at 8 a.m. you are going to train. Now granted, for the first 1 or 2 weeks, you might find that you require a lot of psychological energy to start the workout. However, by weeks 3 or week 4, you're going to realize that starting a workout at 8 a.m. comes naturally to you and you no longer have to even think about this thing. And when you reach such a stage of automation for multiple activities in a day, that is when you have unlocked this premium fuel of delayed gratification. Hey, my name is Jibreal Khan and I've helped dozens of men overcome porn addiction using tried and tested systems based on neuroscience and behavioral psychology. The best part is that these systems do not rely on willpower, which is a fleeting resource and it is bound to fade away in the long run. Some of the people that I work with have been addicted to pornography for as long as 20 years and could barely go a week without porn. So if you would like to work one-on-one with me to overcome porn addiction, then make sure that you click on the link in the description and book a call with me. This call can be completely anonymous if you prefer. In the previous segment of this video, you learned about a different way to look at overcoming porn addiction in the long run. It was a bit philosophical, offered a big picture view of life. However, there are certain specific challenges that need to be addressed when quitting porn addiction, especially during the initial stages of recovery. The first challenge are the cravings. Years of porn consumption have rewired your brain into a dopamine-seeking machine. When you stop giving it this large dump of dopamine, then you begin to develop urges, and these urges start chipping away at your ability to resist porn, and eventually your willpower gets weakened and you end up relapsing. This is the story of 99% of the people who are trying to break free from any addiction. The second challenge are the withdrawal symptoms. Let's say you manage to overcome the cravings for a couple of weeks, but then you start feeling depressed, anxious, start having mood swings, you have brain fog, and all of these are the withdrawal symptoms of quitting porn. That's because your brain has been consuming porn for a number of years at this point, and now you've just stopped giving it dopamine, so it begins to adjust and recalibrate itself to this new scenario, which is actually good, but it comes with a lot of unwanted withdrawal symptoms. In the NoFap community, these periods of recalibration are also known as flatlines. After working with multiple porn addicts, experimenting with different diets, supplements, and trying dozens of other so-called biohacks, I have come to the conclusion that both these problems of cravings and withdrawal symptoms can be eliminated completely or at least greatly reduced in intensity with a combination of intermittent fasting and a ketogenic diet. Intermittent fasting refers to the practice of going without food for a period of time. It has been my observation that when you go on a fast for somewhere between 15 to 18 hours, then the desires for high dopamine behaviors are reduced greatly. It almost feels like the regions of the brain that are responsible for generating cravings, they get turned off when you're in a fasted state. However, the problem is eventually you will need to break your fast and get some nutrition, and you can't just fast forever. I've realized that if you eat too many carbs after breaking your fast, then the regions of the brain that demand sexual stimulation and were suppressed by fasting, they once again get reactivated and the cravings could come back. This is where the ketogenic diet comes into play. To give you a brief overview, the ketogenic diet is a fasting mimicking diet. It tricks your body into believing that you are still fasting. I have come to the conclusion that both these problems of cravings and withdrawal symptoms can be eliminated completely or at least greatly reduced in intensity with a combination of intermittent fasting and a ketogenic diet. Intermittent fasting refers to the practice of going without food for a period of time. It has been my observation that when you go on a fast for somewhere between 15 to 18 hours, then the desires for high dopamine behavior behaviors are reduced greatly. It almost feels like the regions of the brain that are responsible for generating cravings, they get turned off when you're in a fasted state. However, the problem is eventually you will need to break your fast and get some nutrition, and you can't just fast forever. I've realized that if you eat too many carbs after breaking the fast, then the regions of the brain that demand sexual stimulation and were suppressed by fasting, they once again get reactivated and the cravings could come back. This is where the ketogenic diet comes into play. To give you a brief overview, the ketogenic diet is a fasting mimicking diet. Tricks your body into believing that you are still fasting. The way that it works is that by eliminating carbs, it works by significantly eliminating carbs from your diet, because carbs are the food source that gives the strongest signal to your body that you're not fasting anymore and there's food around. So if you can just suppress this signal, you would continue to get the benefit